All right, hard yarners. Today we are joined by Luke Tedesco of Crafted Finance. But before we get on to what we spoke about, Teddy, this episode is brought to you by a couple of businesses. One of them I reckon you're pretty familiar with, but the other one, alltradescover.com.au. Do you know John Elliott, Teddy?
Yes, I do. John, wonderful person.
Yeah, had a couple of drinkies actually last year. I think that was a lovely night out.
Fish bowls, perhaps?
Fish bowls, they were not. Yeah, he just comes along. But alltradescover.com.au. Teddy, would you actually? We touched on insurance as well, and like how builders, the insurance doesn't cover to a certain number of houses that they can build. But that's beside the point. All Trades Cover. Do you think you'd need any coverage? Probably not.
General insurance.
Yeah.
Look. Highly recommend.
Biggest thing that I had noted was Corey Green. He's been getting stuff done on his Recwell, which is a great facility that they're going to be doing, and he was surprised at how many tradies didn't have insurance.
Oh, yeah.
And, mate, long term, the way that's going to be able to save you, get involved, alltradescover.com.au. Hit them up, tell them Hard Yarn sent you, and I don't know. They might give you a discount, whatever. They're just fucking legends. The majority of them have been in trades and understand the pitfalls and know how to make sure you're covered for everything. This episode's also brought to you by, I don't know, have you heard of Crafted Finance, Ted?
Once or twice. Yeah,
so Luke Tedesco, actually from Crafted Finance, is our guest today. But Crafted Finance, they're good people. Do you know what? You're probably best to describe Crafted Finance, Ted.
Well, we are a small family-run mortgage broking company.
Yep.
Myself and Zoe. We help people with all sort of elements of finance, home loans, car loans, business loans.
Mm-hmm.
We kind of just go beyond the finance stuff of it. So we like to, be part of people's journeys. Really big on education. So taking people through, all they need to know before they're jumping in and signing their life away.
Love it, mate. I think you gave a very good representation of the business regardless today. This whole episode is probably a good ad for them as well. So better than what we just done there. So, but today, Teddy, what do we speak about? We spoke about an abundance of topics.
Bit of everything, yeah. Kind of meshed between, sort of current world issues.
Yes.
Protests.
Super, tax, property. Looking outside the box when it comes to investment.
Yeah. Running your own race.
Yeah. I love it. This is going to be very good for anyone who's really interested specifically within investments and property and what's happening financially around the world. Teddy, you did very well. I know you were apprehensive about coming on, but mate, fucking awesome episode. And without further ado, let's get hard.
Welcome to Hard Yarns Podcast.
I am fucking fat.
Anything Chris White says, please disregard it.
5D is actually a state of being. It's a unity consciousness.
That was Hard Yarns with me, Frankie Rose. So I'm going to throw it over to your co-host,
Daniel Jelby.
And Cameron Branch.
I would do this and then I'd gong.
Free in attendance for the millions listening at home. Let's get hard.
It's good. It's good getting the sponsors on. It's funny because I was going to get someone on to talk finance and all that sort of stuff. So I just thought, well, why not?
Why not me?
I was about to say porque no las dos, but that's not, that's not correct.
That doesn't apply.
Do you know you're my first friend to come on the podcast? Not that I'm saying the people who come on are not friends. They're lovely. But you're my LS.
Just make me your podcast friend.
Podcast friend. Yeah, so because Delby and you I met, I think, the same time. So you would both technically be my longest standing friends.
Yeah, like 25 years ago or something.
Oh, it's lovely. Groomsmen. Oh, it's lovely. When do you get, you doing that?
Don't think so.
So he's fine with that?
You don't remember?
yeah, I didn't get the invite, eh?
You made an absolute fool of yourself.
Yeah. Well, there was a night where Hendo actually thought you were being truthful.
I'm still going to run with it.
Yeah, keep running with it. Mate, thanks so much for jumping on. I appreciate it.
No, thanks for having me, mate.
Firstly, what's going on? Actually, do you know what? Like I said, you're one of my best mates. People don't know this, and then you're former West Perth captain. You know, you got a decorated career, premiership player. I think you've got a lot going on aside from finance. So maybe explain who you are, what you do, and then we'll go from there.
Sure. Well, out of school, I just landed a job in banking. Had no intention of following that career path, but a friend of mine had an auntie that worked there, so got a job, Bank West, like most of the people in finance in WA. And yeah, kind of, played at West Perth for 10 years or so. It was a good balance between the two.
Yeah.
But then, sort of late 20s, started focusing a little bit more career, and paths opened up and followed sort of the broking channel. So
that's and most people they probably don't they don't get this, but the balancing of waffle and a full-time job is quite difficult.
Oh, it's intense. It's almost like two full-time jobs because there's the physical aspect, but there's also the mental space as well, and that takes up 7 days of the week. So and I guess it does come that pivotal point where you're able to blend the career and the sport, but ultimately you got to choose a path, don't you?
Yeah, definitely. Bring that mic just a little bit closer. Perfect. Just a fist, they say. Perfect. But Delby and you have very similar traits. Yeah. You were both
Italian. Okay, good one.
The big Italian wogs that we meet at and for our UK listeners, wog is like a very it's not what you guys say over in the UK. It's Italians. Yeah, Italians. But you were both adults when I was 13 or 14 or whenever we met. And I found that hilarious, except you, Delby won't mind me saying this, you managed to pivot from just being the taller, bigger person to get a bit of skills and knowledge about the football. So that's obviously a good trait, but then became a leader. You became a captain of the West Perth Footy Club. That's a pretty big achievement. Do you ever reflect on that as part of your...
Not really. It's funny because since I finished playing, I did a couple of years of coaching in Colts and in the state programs for the underages, and I really enjoyed that. But I guess in some weird way, it kind of took me back to being a bigger, dominant junior.
Yeah.
And then sort of being profiled to a particular skill set or down to your attributes, your physical attributes.
Yeah.
And I had a pretty tough time adjusting around that 18 years of age where, everyone else is doing their growth spurts and I'd sort of stopped growing. Started to go a bit wider. So, I kind of had to relearn
footy.
The positions that I was going to try and be playing. So, and then when I went into the coaching pathway, it just didn't resonate with me anymore.
Yeah.
Because, maybe it did sort of take me back to that time. And, since finishing, I've just had no involvement at all with footy. I barely even watch it. So it's not really something that I reflect on. But it's certainly.
James, and slightly off topic, but James McCann's got a bit about that. James McCann's Adelaide committee was killing it over in the US and just released his special. But he's got a bit about that every team has one big ding that's bigger than everyone else. And now it's translated into every AFL team has one big Sudanese player that just talks like an Aussie. Yeah, very good bit. But that aside, and then so that's led you down the banking path.
So that sort of finishing up at West Perth, I got a job into broking, which, it takes a lot of extra hours. So you're doing a lot of nighttime appointments, a lot of weekends. So the two really didn't align. Sort of did a salary job for a while. And worked through a real estate agent company with the finance arm. And, just through circumstance, ended up on my own probably 2 years into it. So really inexperienced. So, I had to learn all about the self-employed pathway, I guess. And it's been a journey. But, we're, pretty proud of where we've got to 7-8 years later.
So before we go down the finance stuff, which is what we've got you on to talk, I guess, housing and it'll inevitably get to the housing crisis and stuff. But there has been a lot going on. I don't know what your thoughts are on it, but I wanted to talk about it because I copped quite a lot of hate for not going to the protests at all. Did you happen to go or see anything?
Didn't go.
Yeah.
Saw a bit of it, saw the coverage and that.
So I chose not to go because it was who was organising it. There's a good one in 2 weeks, September 13. It's run by the right people. Same thing, but obviously it's not just about immigration. It's covering all of the bases. It's basically governments being dicks, and but what? So people were angry at me, and understandably, I understand why they're angry. I wasn't getting snarky back at anyone because we are at a point where people are pushed to the limits of what they can tolerate. And they probably saw people like myself, Two Worlds Collide podcast, Primod, those sorts of people saying we're not attending Big Chocky because of who's running it and organised in it. And I don't know, I don't know. I didn't want to see myself aligned with people who were white nationalists, which I think is fair enough. I understood that 90% of the people who were going to go were good people who were just concerned about the housing, the cost of living, constantly seeing the big businesses just getting tax loopholes, which we potentially could talk about that as well. Basically, broadly speaking, just not being listened to. And we see that even so eloquently put together by Roger Cook by saying exactly what he said and suggesting that they're just all demonising a specific sector of society when we weren't. We were demonising the government's handling of all these sorts of situations. So that's just a perfect example that he's not listening. But I wanted to address that people were angry at me, and I understand why. Because they're passionate. They totally believe, and they've lost their way. Totally believe that we've lost our way as a country, and they felt like we had turned our backs on them. And for those people, I understand, and I apologise that I didn't support that one, but there is a way forward for us in which I think we're going to join I am going to join the protest on September 13th, which is going to have a far better direction, far more better messaging, and even if the white nationalist groups hijack that one and create some sort of violence, at least it's not been run by them, which is exactly who it had been run by. But you see that level of understanding that people are, just, I guess, reaching the ends of their limits?
Absolutely. And I think a lot of it just comes down to people know that there's something wrong.
Yeah.
But it's outside of their control for a lot of it. And, me personally, I try and do things or just what can I control and just worry about that, to borrow an old sporting adage. But it's true. Yeah. It's like we can get caught up in, the doom and gloom of what's potentially coming for us down the road.
Yeah.
Or we can kind of look in the now and try and find solutions for it. So I think it is just people losing a bit of hope, and then that starts to come out as anger, and you see it in society as well. Yeah, I mean, I don't feel like it's a happy environment. You walk down the street, people are eyes down. They avoid eye contact. They just would rather not speak to anyone. Yeah, because it's almost like we've kind of got into this space of it's like, well, I'm in competition with you. Yeah. So I think it's the subliminal thing, but when it comes to finding a house or finding a rental, finding a job, all these things, it's a competition. Yeah. Even with, I don't know. I don't know if it's a West Australian thing, an Australian thing, but we do just seem to get really caught up about what other people are doing.
Yeah. Well, this is what I refuse to engage now in, and I've done it in the past, and I'm sure I will make mistakes and fall back into old habits, but I refuse to engage with calling out what people are doing wrong. Instead, I'm going to just align and speak to what I believe to be the truth. So if Abby Chatfield goes on some fucking ridiculous rant, I don't have to go, she's wrong because of this. I just have to go, well, I don't agree with that, but I'm going to highlight what I believe and just align myself with that direction. I think that's all you can do is focus on yourself, and I think that's the way forward for me with content as often as I can. It's very easy for me to just go clip up a thing of Abby Chatfield or Albanese speaking, and people instantly go, well, I hate them, so I'm going to buy into this no matter what. It's not what I want to do. I want people to think for themselves, and I'm just going to put out there what I think is truth. And I think by design, that's just going to create my own, for lack of a better word, universe around me, and I will see what I want to see, and I will live in that sort of world. But also, I see things like this and these protests, and I do think it is division by design. My opinion. I think it is the old David Icke adage of problem, reaction, solution. You know, by design, creating a problem over and over again, very clearly and obvious for everyone to see. And then in turn, we are at some point probably going to rise up. And I said this in a clip this morning, actually. We're going to rise up. People are going to, push for action, and they're going to feel helpless and potentially become violent in some of those situations. If they don't become violent because it's already a tense environment, it doesn't take much for the people who are benefiting from those sorts of protests and divisive actions to just place a few people in there to just prod it. Like what we see January 6th, the FBI chucked a few people in there, whether or not they were provoking, and that's up for debate. But we know there were provocateurs in there that, fuck, you got kindling. You got all the ingredients for fucking explosion. All you have to do is push the button a little bit, leave a few bricks behind, push the buttons a little bit, and it explodes into something that's usually violent, which then, win-win for the government, gives them more powers to implement legislation that censors, pressures us, means we can't protest. Our right to protest is already on the brink with the post and boast laws that are coming in. The social media ban means we need, for under 16s, means we need to prevent identification or age assurance or whatever they want to, however they want to frame it. So there's so many ways that this can undo us, and I feel like that's by design. It's not stupidity by the government. They're benefiting their own corporate masters and friends, as well as at the same time making us so frustrated, so passionate, so angry that they can then still implement more control measures.
Yeah, but within that, whether it's by design or not, I think there's even friction within people who are well intended to begin with.
Yeah.
You've got such opposing views, and I think this is ultimately the great cause of the division.
Yeah.
Is, whether it's medical, whether it's parenting approaches, whether it's, just being on board with, just sign up, mate. It's not that big of a deal. Just take a photo and away you go. So within these channels, people are still trying to push what they think is the right agenda, but there's still some conflict in there. So it still just comes back to a place of listening, doesn't it? And understanding and giving people the opportunity to speak what they think and just go on. And you don't even have to say it. Just like, well, in my head, I think, well, that's ridiculous, but cool. If that's the way you think, that's fine. And just let people be. Like, you don't, like, it just feels like there's always resistance with so many different layers of things. So, yeah, when it's put on mass scale like that, and then, it really gets the highlight. And we all know what media's role is in that, in really hyping up and trying to drive that wedge further between, people who are striving for good.
Yeah, because if you're pointing the finger at each other, you're not pointing the finger at the people who orchestrated the division 100%. In the first place. So, and I think that's becoming more clear, and I think people are seeing that. But then they feel like a protest, for example, is the only way to. I mean, it's nice. Okay, so the pros and cons to protests and marches and these sorts of things. The pro is a sense of community, especially if it's peaceful. Sense of community, finding some people that you go, oh, I'm not alone in this. That's incredible. I think that's great. The other point is you will, by default, the media is going to paint you in the way that sees the government's narrative play out very well. And that is by design going to create more division in itself. Also, what is going to come from a march? Like, really?
Yeah.
What change is going to happen? The government or the state or the corporations are still going to continue to do what they're doing. They don't care. They're still making the profits. They're still lining the pockets of whoever they want. It all comes down to money and influence at the end. But I guess by potentially actually influencing policy, sometimes, and that's politically, but then how do you change that? I mean, I don't know. It's an interesting conversation what the best avenue is. I guess the one thing I will definitely say is that protest, rallies, marches, peacefully, of course, do create a sense of community and understanding that there are other people around you that feel the same.
Yeah. So, and because it is like, through work, like you've come across so many different stories as well. And especially people who have been, maligned over the last 5 years or so, they feel lonely, or they feel like they're getting left behind because they're not getting in the market. Like, I had this one client, and they've been looking for I've met them about 3 years ago, and they still haven't bought, which is totally fine.
Yeah.
But she got a new job. Her 4-year-old son started struggling in full-time care. She's like, look, we're just putting the house hunting on hold because he needs me. It's a short time. He needs me. And I didn't think much of it. I just sent back, I think that's awesome that you're prioritising him over, there will come a time where you can catch up and do that later on. And she rang me in tears. She was so just she couldn't believe that. Yeah, she's like, it just feels so relieving to know that someone sees it the way I do as well.
Yeah.
Instead of just, they're still renting, they're not even in the house. Feeling that pressure from external people, whether that's in the school community or whatever that is. But just knowing that there are people out there that share similar views and can support you in some ways, even if it is just listening or just having conversation.
Yeah, there's certainly a bit of pressure on people. I'm feeling that pressure. I want to get in the market, but then I don't know if I do. There's so many factors to consider.
Oh, and it's the number one thing. People will come and just go, well, what's going to happen with property prices? What's going to happen with interest rates? And I don't have the crystal ball. I'd love to know that. But just in my personal and business experience, all I know is that buy for the right reasons. Don't buy because you think you're gonna miss out. I know things are evolving, things are going to continually evolve, but you got to do it at the time that suits you and run your own race. So, again, we've had that journey with a lot of people where it starts off with, I don't know anything. You got to take me from the start to the finish. And where 3 or 4 years ago they were looking at something around the 450,000 range, they've eventually bought something for 650. But they're in a far better position now to handle they're in a better paying job, or they're in stable relationships, or they've had the kids, so they know what
the expenses
the actual expenses are going to be. That's one of the traps that people have early on. 2 incomes, no kids, and it's fine, but what's the next step from there? So,
because this was something that wasn't considered back, and this was obviously in the American market. The Big Short is obviously a great example of that. They didn't consider one thing, not the people, the brokers and the banks, and that's fucking horrific. Really, they're just giving people these loans, full well knowing they're probably not going to be able to pay them back, but they get the benefits,
commission.
Yeah.
So look, I started in 2016, 2017, and I kind of came in, obviously beyond that, to a highly regulated space. So, a lot of people who'd been in the industry a long time, not assuming that they'd done anything wrong, but they were met with a whole lot of compliance framework that became a bit of a sticking point, which I'll come back to something on that later. So you've got the compliance element to it, but then in 2019 they had the Royal Commission into the banking and finance sector, and there was a whole raft of recommendations that went in there, and one of them was that they should scrap broker commissions. So just in case you don't know, we get paid by the banks upon settlement. So a client, if you came to see me, I don't charge a fee, but also don't get paid until that deal settles. Okay, but part of the findings were, brokers aren't doing the right thing. They're placing deals where there's a high commission, which is ridiculous because there's a readily commissioned guide that's available, which shows the difference between banks is so marginal. And would you really jeopardise, a deal just for the case of a couple of extra bucks? It's just not a thing. But anyway, off the back of that, they introduced this best interest duty, which believe it or not, you have to do the right thing by the customer. So, groundbreaking.
How incredibly, how insightful.
But in some ways, it's actually worked in our favour because, you go into a bank and they will be able to offer you their choice of products. Whereas, I'm bound to sort of provide options and, it's in there. It's explaining the reasons why this product ends up being way more expensive long term, and some of the pitfalls that come with that. So through that sort of regulation, I guess, has sort of solidified the broking sector as being good for competition, and ultimately the consumer not having to pay for that service, because if they did, well, I'm not going to pay you $2,000 to do finance. I'll just walk into one of the majors and get them to do it.
Yes.
But potentially at a higher rate or not fitting their circumstances.
Yeah. So is that why you'd probably, and this is probably self-serving and it's hard to answer, but broker over a bank?
Well, I think ultimately, so many people would say, I want the best rate. Mm-hmm. Cool, absolutely. Let's try aim for that. But we've got to look at your circumstances first. And it's such a range of issues that ultimately would lead to the recommendations of a bank over another. So self-employed is a big one, because that is quite subjective. With some banks will want 2 years of financials, some will want the most recent year, some will look at 6 months if you pay yourself a wage. But it's quite a tricky space to work within, and especially people ultimately don't want to pay a lot of tax. They've got a good accountant that can write off extra money, but that doesn't look good on paper, so therefore you can't borrow much. So it's just knowing how to navigate the different circumstances that people have, and then going, okay, well, now you're eligible with these banks, and how much do you need to borrow? You can borrow, 600 with this one and 650 with that one.
Yeah.
And then ultimately, when you narrow that down, then we can start talking about, well, these are the better products and the better rate that is available with these qualifying lenders. Yeah. Versus just walking in and just going, well, I need this much money, and it's like, well, no, or
yeah.
Like it's so you kind of placing it where it needs to be. But I mean, within that, you're doing a whole lot more. Like people, it's a good thing. It's a really good thing that people will just go like, I don't know where to start, what to do. Yeah. Cool. So you're taking them through the finance journey, which, is intense. Yeah. But then, well, I don't know how to fill in a contract to sale. Yeah. I don't know what a settlement agent does, or who do I need to do. Even just that negotiation with a real estate agent. Just to have someone to bounce ideas off. Yeah. I don't like the banking industry per se. And sometimes you fight that moral compass, but and my partner often says it's people need people like you in the space to provide that genuine guidance along the way. Yeah. Okay. So ultimately, people are going to do it. So you may as well try and educate them as best you can along the way.
I think that's the best part about your guys' business, and that's why I'm very happy that you guys are on board. And this feels like shameless self promotion for you guys, but it's quite refreshing to see, especially considering what we're seeing going on at the moment. There's a lot of people who are scared and they don't know what to do, and there's not a housing crisis, but the fucking cost of living is already it's just getting worse and worse and worse. And it's not like anyone couldn't predict this when they printed billions of dollars out of thin air during COVID to keep us at home doing nothing. What did they expect was going to happen? But are you across what really is causing the housing explosion?
I think there's a number of layers to it, but it started with that. So the grants that were dished out for construction, so it's $50,000. Yeah, okay. Remember?
No,
off the back of COVID.
Yep.
So $50,000 to build or to substantially renovate. And people are sitting at home not spending. So they really artificially gave it a kickstart. Now, I'll just pause and I'll go back. Especially in WA, it was a really, really flat market between 2015 to 2018, even 2019.
Oh, when I owned my house. Yeah.
But that's 10 years ago. That's not a long time. And I think people are getting swept up in really unrealistic expectations of, the market's going to go up. Because it's gone up 40-50% in the last 2 years, it's going to continue that trajectory long term. I don't think that's going to happen. I'm pretty confident.
And this is not financial advice, but just your opinion.
Correct. But it's sort of coming back to what's led us here. And then WA, compared to the rest of the country, has always been relatively cheap. Okay, so you've got Sydney median house price over $1 million. Yeah. So...
Which we're in WA, we're there now almost as well.
Yeah. So over the course of this last 4 or 5 years, it's been staggering amount of increase in pricing. But yeah, then there's also, so we talk about the immigration, and that is a small factor, but they still need to have jobs to be able to secure debt.
Yeah.
And I think one of the biggest myths out there is like, oh, well, foreign nationals are buying up all the country. Well, they actually stopped. They actually put a cap on that.
Oh,
so it's
really?
like, well, yeah, foreign buyers were no longer able to do that.
Because it is the thing you hear, like a boomer will go, yeah, they're buying up all the things and sell. Yeah.
Exactly. Now, I did have one. They weren't a citizen here. They weren't a resident, sorry. And I went through the process with them. I was like, look, you're going to have to pay this additional stamp duty on top of stamp duty in order to buy it. It was going to cost them like $60,000 for a $400,000 place.
Yeah.
It's like, we'll wait 12 months till we get our residency. So,
Yeah.
but I think on the top of that, in Australia, because, sorry, this will
That's all right. You go in and
bounce around a little
Yeah,
bit. here.
bounce around fine.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm along with the belief that, it's way easier to be in a PAYG job than it is self-employed.
Yes.
Okay. You get your tax taken care of, you get your super money paid into, and it's very easy to borrow money because you got your pay slip, which shows exactly what you earn. Now, within that, and with most people in PAYG jobs, our tax brackets are, our tax rates are quite high, especially when you start earning big money. So one of the advantages, or one of the only tax benefits you can get, is through property. So I think the investment space as well has kind of fueled this.
Okay.
The introduction of buyer's agents, never really a thing in WA. They started creeping a bit more. Auctions, hardly a thing, more commonplace now.
Okay.
So that's kind of, and I speak WA sort of, mostly that's what we know. But yeah, and then interestingly, and we can't put a figure to this, but it's the psychology of people that has changed. Like,
Okay. In what way?
well, property's listed for 700, and then it gets to a stage where it's like, I'm going to go in at 750. Okay, well, you can do that if you wanted to. It's up at 780. I think I've got to go to 790. And how quickly we lose perspective of that percentage jump.
Yeah.
That's above 10% already.
Yeah.
Again, similarly, we had someone who wanted to go in for a property at 1.1, and that was the stretch. Okay, yep, you can do that. Like, the numbers all add up. But then they come back a day later, I'm up against the highest offer at the moment is 1.25. I got to go to 1.3. And it's like, mate, that's $200,000 above what you said was the highest you're going to go to. Like,
And so
at what point does that stop?
And why do you think they're going to that point?
Because people are sort of in this thing of like, we've got to get in, we've got to make this upgrade now before it gets too expensive down the track.
Yeah. Okay. And you think there's no body behind that?
So I don't know this for certain, but there are a couple of things that just don't pass the eye test for me. One of the things with lending money is that you're capped for like a debt to income ratio.
Yep.
Which is generally around 6 times. So if you earn 100 grand as your household income, your maximum borrowing is 600. Okay, even if it's services and all these other things are fine, we don't want to lend above that.
Yeah.
So wages aren't growing at the same rate as the property prices are.
Yeah.
So something's got to give. Like, either the wages are going to start surging.
Yeah.
Who's paying for that? Small businesses. Again, they're the ones who are going to struggle a bit.
Yep. Again, feels by design.
Right.
Yeah.
Which is then passed on to the consumer. So people are, again, worried about cost of living and stuff like that. Big corporations are able to absorb these costs because they work on volume, not margin. But for your little coffee shop down the road who employs 3 or 4 people, they've got to pay the lease goes up, the insurance goes up. All these other things start to go up that then get passed on to the consumer. So it's a really tricky space to navigate, which, again, I don't think there'll ever be like this huge correction,
Like a crash or anything.
I don't know if it's plausible. There's got to be an evening out, and there may well be a dip. So again, people say, what's going to happen with property? Now, if you look again over that 10-year period, 2015 to now, there's every chance that you bought here, it pulled back, and now it might be sitting up here. Well, if you're buying up here now, there's every chance over the next 10 years that it could pull back a little bit and bounce up, which is why it comes back to the reason why you're looking at buying. are we going to find something we're happy with for the next 10, 15, 20 years? Which again, those social pressures we speak about, like, or that suburb's got a bit of a bad rep, or I need to have a 4x2, even though it's just myself, myself. Like,
correct.
It's a really interesting dynamic with the psychology of people, I think, and the role that's played. And then that's probably the cool part that I enjoy about the conversations that I have with people. It's because they see they're looking here, and it's like, well, property isn't the only way to make wealth. I feel like we're kind of conditioned in Australia. That's the only way that you're able to accumulate significant wealth is through property.
Yeah.
Get out and do a bit of research, like whether that's in the crypto space, looking at property overseas.
And you're a mortgage broker, so you stand to no benefit to suggest that.
Exactly. Like there's nothing to be gained from that. But they're the conversations I get really excited about because I feel like that's creating a solution to the problem, like it's, well, we can't get in here. Well, it's like, well, if it's not going to be in your ideal suburb or even the people who are moving interstate because it represents as a better paying job or it's maybe a cheaper market. Well, what's the difference between living interstate or even, now I know there's limitations with this, which I revisit, but there's plenty of examples of families who are moving abroad to Southeast Asia, something like that, and saving up that money. So it's not so much investing it as much as saving it in a quicker space to allow them to come back
because they can
buy at a better circumstances,
and they can work remotely and then spend less money on rent, I guess.
And so I know that the job is the huge restriction on that.
Yeah.
But again, so if people are looking for a solution, well, what are some jobs? And I do, I worry in our own business, but even more broadly socially, like the impact that AI is going to have on so many jobs. And I feel like it's a real head in the sand moment. Yeah. Maybe the second biggest head in the sand moment of this. It might have been something else, but
yeah.
But and again, if we can look at it doom and gloom, or we can look at it and go, well, this is kind of, it is a impending reality.
Yeah.
How can we work with it? So, I think everyone should be kind of foolproofing their household. So what does your job look like in 5 to 10 years' time? What does your household look like? Does it planning with kids and what school you go to, or, there's a number of things that come into effect. But, I think it's just looking at things from a different angle sometimes.
Yeah.
This isn't the only way.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
And I know the rental market is tough as well, and there's so many people competing for rentals and, the disruption that can cause. But, there's a lot to be said. Like if I gave you just some really rough numbers, people forget, we get lost in the buy number and the sell number. So if you bought a property for $800,000, you'd probably pay about $35,000 in stamp duty and settlement costs. Okay, hold it for a year or two, put 10 or 20 grand in to do the place up, then you sell it for 900. So you made 100 grand in a year. That looks great. But then when you sell it at 900 and you pay a real estate agent 2%, there's another 18 grand.
Yeah.
So all of a sudden that $100,000 from purchase to sale, once we factor in the cost of it, does it look that much?
No.
On a big scale as well, you're investing 600,000-700,000, whatever loan size you've got,
and the interest you're paying on top of that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Now, to me, interest and rent, I don't see as too different,
Yeah.
provided that you're doing something with the leftover.
Yes.
That's the important part to that.
Yeah.
So again, I bring that to.
So if you're renting, using it, saving it, whatever you're doing, investing it.
Again, another common thing will be, we want to buy for 700,000. It's like, well, your payment's going to be 3.5 a month. Well, that's a lot, but you're borrowing $700,000. Like that's a lot of money.
Yeah.
And when you break that down, huge chunk of that is interest. Right.
Which is similar to just dead money, isn't it?
Right.
Well,
so
I guess it's buying you time to have your.
But then obviously the counter argument is that we bank on the equity growth, and then at least you're building something of your own. So definitely, like there's
pros and cons.
And that's exactly it. I think there's two sides to the conversation. It's not just as linear as this is the right way to do it, and it's the same with property investing, any type of investing. people will say, well, what should I do? Get not elderly, sorry. Pick 40, 50, 60, they're starting to look towards retirement. I better get an investment property to set me up for retirement. And it's like, well, maybe speak to a financial planner, understand how this might work, because there are certain tax benefits to salary or to putting more into superannuation and growing that. Now, superannuation, I know, is another sensitive thing.
Yeah.
But again, that might work for certain pockets of people.
Well, you touch on super there.
Yeah.
Maybe we can pivot to there for a second, because super is interesting to me. And I'm toying with self-managed and going through that process. Now, I don't know what to invest in, whether I'm going to invest that all into crypto, whether I'm going to invest that into property. I don't know. Off top of my head, like if gun to my head right now, I'd say I'm probably going to invest in a villa in like a Bali or Thailand or something and attach that to my super, which I didn't know was possible. Found out recently, definitely very possible and probably pretty beneficial, considering I don't really pay too much super at the moment because I'm self-employed and I know there's tax breaks and stuff. But there's a few fears with that as well because some of the things that have been happening lately. The caps, I think, was it 3 million?
Yeah.
Which in 30 years, 3 million is nothing.
And for people who are saying, well, that only affects the wealthy, again, you go back 20 years ago, $1 million was a lot of money.
Yes.
$1 million is
Nothing. Yeah.
now. So 3 million by the time, 20, 30 years rolls around,
Yeah.
I think affects a lot more people. Now, that is assets. But yeah, like, again, autonomy, like thinking back now, another thing that's changed over these last, 5-6 years is the increase in the superannuation contributions, which is put forward as like a good thing. You're putting more money towards your retirement. How many people could benefit with, if I said to you, I'll give you a 3% pay rise, people would be like, cool.
Yeah.
But that's been taken away from us. That's been put externally into those super funds, which generate a lot of money. Like, so again, you look at economically, we're not diverse. We've got banking, we've got mining. That's it.
Yeah.
And a big part of the super funds are sort of, within banking shares as well. So there's not a strong correlation between, it's all kind of intertwined, isn't it?
Yeah.
But yeah, the SMSF is something we're getting a lot more inquiries about. Now, whilst we can't specifically set them up or give the advice on it, we're having plenty of conversations around what's possible with it. And people need to sort of go in with an open, not an open mind, but with an expectation that it can be expensive to set up and it can be expensive to manage. But you flip that to you manage, like if you're idle, you're not doing it, you're not making any contributions to a retail super fund,
Yeah.
and it's just dwindling away with fees, then, kind of cancel each other out, right?
Yeah, definitely.
But yeah, it opens up all possibilities. You're in control of what you can do with it.
And I know there's and to give people raw numbers of what I experienced with my process, the setting it up fees with, I think, is it an accountant? Is it no? Who?
Accountant, financial planner.
Financial planner. Can't remember what role title my guy had, but it was like a $3,000-ish fee, which he said he's reasonably priced. There are more expensive ones and there are cheaper, but yeah, about $3,000. He takes that from the super. And then there was the ongoing fees, which was, I think, from memory, about $1,500 a year versus, I think the government's one or whatever, Australian super, it's like $600 a year anyway. So you're still paying some fees. So, but if then you have the choice to invest it where you see potential growth, or something just looking outside the box. Like I like the idea of owning a villa in Bali and earning a reasonable amount of money every year that goes directly, yes, into your super, but not to you as profit. But yeah, still, it's better than me not paying.
Well, it's ultimately building something for you later on.
Correct,
right?
yeah.
But it's interesting, isn't it? Like we started off talking about immigration and we went to foreign buyers and then they can be perfectly plausible avenues for us as well.
Yeah, so we can invest in.
So yeah, it's just perspective, isn't it?
Yeah. But then are we just contributing to a problem in Bali or in Indonesia?
100%.
Yeah.
Like I totally get that angle. Like, you know, and I'm really interested in that space. And I've seen some of the projects that sort of are pinned for Lombok, and you know, at the moment it's kind of untouched. And then you kind of on one side of it, you're like, oh wow, like this has got serious potential and this and that. But on the other side, you're like,
taken away.
it's a bit dark, like
Yeah.
to, you know, and even you know, we've holidayed before in Jamaica.
Yeah.
And one of the really big things that stood out there was the amount of beach that was unavailable to the public. It's all locked off for the hotels.
Yeah,
So
right.
hotel, well, you stay at this
Oh,
resort,
yeah,
this
yeah,
is
yeah.
our section
Our
of the
section
beach.
of beach,
So,
yeah.
like, that didn't really, I don't know, like it's weird, isn't it? Like
Yeah.
you kind of go through these waves of thought with it in,
Yeah,
we
you
want to
own beach.
we
Yeah.
want to accumulate wealth and we want to security and safety for our families and stuff like that. But then there's that element that's like, oh,
Yeah. Is
at what cost?
Yeah. Is it like if you can't beat them, join them as well? Like is it that sort of concept, or are you just contributing more to the problem? I don't know. Like
No,
it's
like
ethical question.
yeah, it is. But again, like we touched on like the psychology of people. Like if I was to say to you in general, like you've been to Thailand, you've been to Bali, I've been to Mexico. Like it's some of these places where people have come from, they don't have much at all. No pocket. Nicest people you'll meet.
Yeah.
The smiles on their faces, like their engagement with kids, like it's just so
The people with less seem to be the happiest in some ways.
so much more grounded. So
Yeah.
again, like, do we get stuck on this hamster wheel where we're chasing the wealth and all that, or do we just go, what's going to be comfortable for us, and let's and you know, one of the things that people also say, well, how hard is this going to be for our kids growing up?
Yeah.
We've got to leave something for our kids. And whilst I agree with that to some extent, it kind of comes back to this thing of why don't you empower your kids to put themselves in a position of being able to create for their own. Like don't just leave it for them. Yes, we all want to help them out, but that's a challenge of parenting as well, isn't it? Like you don't want to. Yeah, it's you got to let them figure stuff out.
I love that. I'm battling with that a bit at the moment. Like, you know, letting even the other day, Scotty's riding her bike and I'm sitting there just watching up ahead, making sure. And clearly I've got to be a smart parent. Can't just let her ride across the road and stuff. We've had a couple of little dicey moments where I'm like, fuck, stop, watch what you're doing, cars around, stuff like that. But there's also a level of like, also let her go, let her fall off the path a little bit. Like if she falls over when she's riding a bike, grazes up her hands, it's part of growing up. But that's obviously a different level, like empowering them, giving them knowledge. But that parenting thing is I really like that. Instead of helping them, empower them.
Right. Which is, I think is huge. Like, and I don't think, we've had this conversation as well. Like, I think setting attitudes around money, you know, it's almost like a taboo subject. Like,
Yeah.
it's often associated with greed and, you
Yeah.
know, but like, I often think if we were to sort of come into substantial money, win a lottery or something like that, I actually feel we could actually give so much more of ourselves to society that way. Do you know, like, but I don't know if that is, you know, again, like I feel like with all the events of the last 5-10 years, probably even throughout history, right? I just feel like, and maybe this is relevant across all Western society as well, but it has become very secular and it's very worry about me and mine instead of trying to, you know, sort of that human element. Yeah. Which,
Community.
Right.
Connection.
Yeah.
Seems to have been lost a little bit lately.
Yeah. But yeah, I don't think people should be fearful of money and stuff like that and interacting with it.
Yeah, I certainly fell into that trap.
Yeah.
I need money for that means, and then I'd feel like, well, am I doing it for the right reasons? And no, there's a balance, isn't there?
Yeah, and it's you know again, small thing. It's like, you know, my son, I really really want this. It's like, mate, we instead of saying we can't afford that, it's like, well, we have the money to buy that. We're going to choose to spend that on something that's a little bit more
Productive,
Exactly.
beneficial.
We've got to pay for somewhere to live. We've got to pay for the food that we eat.
Mm-hmm.
The stuff, all the activities, the fun stuff that we do. So we'd rather save their money and spend it on that. So yeah, kind of instilling that positive mindset around money, and the opportunities. Like, again, the US debt level, for example.
Yep.
It's so unbelievably high. Like, I don't think we can really wrap our heads around.
Fathom it, yeah.
Yeah, the numbers that we're talking about there. But then it leads into this whole conversation around inflation. So this number is just going up. It's not a true reflection on wealth, but the number is going up. So, yeah, like I feel like there's a lot of money there that can be made. Doesn't necessarily have to be through property, although property has sort of proven to be a relatively safe pathway over the course of time.
Does things like gold, silver, do they add to your borrowing and loan capacity? They don't.
No. So typically you got your borrowing capacity, which is purely based on your income, less your liabilities and your fixed expenses. And then you've got deposit, which has to be cash.
Yeah.
Like, it can be in gold and silver, but you have to convert that to savings in order to settle. But yeah, borrowing capacity and deposit or contribution, two separate things that don't help each other out, but they both need to sort of work together to get the money that you need.
And then there's concerns about, and I think this is fucking ridiculous that this is happening, but there's concerns about the taxing of, economists are getting together to go, right, we're talking debt before, we're trying to bring down our debt and we're trying to find ways to raise tax money. They won't consider the oil giants and the gas giants, and they won't consider limiting our abilities to ship costs offshore to, for example, Pfizer. Rennick brought that up as well. Pfizer shifting $1.4 billion of profits to Ireland because they had a little bit of a lesser tax rate and then bringing it back. These sorts of things, they won't consider that, but they'll consider taxing our bedrooms and they'll consider taxing inheritances. And for me, that's what's frustrating. I understand that these are because there's obviously people who are hoarding properties, and that's what they're selling it to us as, taxing the rich because they're hoarding these properties with all these spare bedrooms. But it's going to affect people like me and you, or regular average people who just own a home with a spare bedroom. Regardless, they've acquired that wealth over their time. They've paid their taxes on it. They've done what they've had to do, and now you want to tax their bedroom. That's adding to the frustrations that people are seeing. You're not considering them, and you're just going, yeah, we'll just tax the people.
Yeah, it's and again, all these things that get proposed, they are proposals, but is it by design to fuel that anger and that that rush to get in, or the push that sort of the soft push to get people to move, downsize, what that is. But
you're right, actually, considering that. Is it by design? They're never going to do it, but they'll propose it just to fuel that anger, especially in such a tense time as it already is. Same thing. It is that problem, reaction, solution.
Yeah, yeah. Well, it's a similar thing. Like, what are you going to do to keep your job?
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah. I know. I remember that. Yeah.
But, it's... Look, I think, I mentioned before just about the compliance and the regulatory thing with the broking space. But building, development. I mean to say, why is it taking so long? One of the clients, their land, it's just as an inner city subdivision. Titles are due to issue in April. We're now beginning of September and have been pushed back to end of November.
Yeah, right.
Okay.
So what's happening there?
Well, I mean, that's a titling thing. But then you've got council approval for people who are doing renovations or who are doing new construction. Builders can only carry so many jobs under their insurance.
Yeah.
Right. And because there has been, again, this is probably something that doesn't get discussed enough. Over those initial couple of years when the grants started getting issued and the cost of materials and labour went through the roof, like a lot of builders struggled with that because, they had the fixed price contract.
Yeah.
Costs went up and they had to eat that. So again, a bigger business can absorb that. Smaller ones going to struggle. And they've never really corrected. So again, insurance companies have had to sort of do more. What does that do? Push up premiums a lot more. And one of the things, again, whether it's the restrictions in development or whether it's, again, people's psychology, is we build flat the whole way up and down the coast here. But the cost to actually build unit developments, residential unit developments, just the margin's not there for the builders. They don't actively seek it either. So, WA is a really interesting place, like with the way that it's all sort of been designed. Like you could rely solely on public transport to get from place A to place B.
Yeah. It's not designed.
But we're still spending a lot of money extending the railway networks and, all these things. But ultimately, people are still needing to drive a lot. So, it's...
Do you have faith that our local pollies can have an impact in that change? Like with Baz, we're mutual friends with Basil. And we look at his push for politics, and he's the leader of the opposition now. So I had him on. We had a great chat. He definitely did some political speak. I still see, like, as a person, I want to chat to him and go, mate, do you actually believe this, and this? Are you going to be able to put these changes into place?
I think a lot of it comes down to, like, how many people actually have engaged their local councillors. Like, my in-laws at election time wrote to their local councillors and it's like, well, these are my concerns and this is that. And it's really interesting. You get the generic reply.
Yes.
We'll get back to you, no worries.
Yep.
But then some actually take the time and it's an answered question. They've gone through and answered their questions. Now, again, they might have alternate agendas in pushing themselves up. But I think the more people that actually engage politicians and actually hold them to account to some degree, like they're not off limits.
No.
With respect, they're not off limits. So done in the correct channels. And if you're not done to, you're not trying to provoke them or anything like that, but you got to feel by having authentic conversation, if more people are doing that, well, hang on a sec, there's a growing number of people here, which, again, I'm not going to sort of blanket them all in this same cast, but they're worried about they've got a job to protect as well. Yeah. They want to get in. So they're going to try and, account for the majority of people. If there's more voices raising those concerns. So again, the protests, good way of mass action, but what's the follow-up from there? What have people done to actually engage at a lower level? And then we can get that lower level to move up. I don't know. Like it's...
Well, a part of me's considered talking to Basil, for example, and going, mate, look, would you consider like adding this as part of your policy or your push towards your drive? And that's not me wanting to align with Liberal, but also understanding that he could potentially have an impact. And if I talk him through some of people's concerns in general, is he going to consider that, or is he going to go, no, the party's going like this? And I don't know what the answer is. And I've tried reaching out to Roger Cook, and this is locally, so maybe interstate or international listeners, but these are our premiers and our state oppositions. But like they don't even get back to me. They don't read the messages. They're not blocked, but I can't get through to Roger Cook at all. He doesn't seem to be open to any form of conversation.
Sure.
At least Basil, I know I have a direct line to now. I've got his phone number. I can text and say, can we chat about this? I want to present to you the concerns that I'm hearing every fucking day.
Do you know who your local councillor is?
Not my local, no.
So start there. Like, and again, I'm not aligned with politics at all.
Correct.
I've very little. I'm not going to say I have very little interest in it because I think if we have that view, like we've got to be aware of what's happening. But if you feel passionately about change, then I think you have to start. Same as anything, you can't just walk in and demand a CEO job.
No, correct, yeah.
Right, you've got to go in. You've got to entry level and then build the wave up from there. And maybe that's the way forward. But, I've been I'm frustrated with the amount of jobs. Like you talk about like job creation and that. And, yeah, it's all in the public sector. And it's, I get we need our essential services, get that, but there's a huge problem here with our hospital system.
Yeah.
And our, and all that. Like there's just seems to be problems everywhere. Nothing seems to be done, but there's more jobs being created within government. Like
I did see, I can't remember. I think it was the South Australian Premier acknowledge that he's done, or she, I think it was he, had done a poor job with the health stuff. I think it was he's South Australian. Yeah, and regardless, it was a Premier saying, yeah, I acknowledge we've actually done a poor job. We need to sort this out.
Yeah.
That's why can't someone do that? That's a really good thing to do. I understand there's going to be people piling on going, see, he's fucked. We need to get rid of him, blah, blah, blah. Don't worry about that. I just want to see someone acknowledge when they've made a mistake and go, hey, we've fucked up here.
Yeah.
Can we sort this now?
Yeah, but and even that, like, the answer's not always just throw more money at people.
No.
Like, that's just adding to the problem.
Yeah,
like,
potentially it's reduced.
The productivity is reducing. And the changes with the NDIS recently.
Yes.
And at its core is a really, really good thing.
Yes.
But it's been exploited and politics has been exploited. Like it's hard, but we just need, you just hope that good people prevail,
Yeah. But then that comes back to you spoke where we become secular, focus on self and self-interested. But also, is that probably the bittersweet irony is that we probably do need to focus on self, building our own self-awareness and also the awareness of what's going on, focusing on what we can control.
Yeah.
So it's a balance, isn't it?
Definitely. But I guess that sort of comes back to, well, why are you then so triggered about what somebody else is doing? So like we're going to move in and out of, and again, it's the same as like, I want to get out of this, but I want to, it's a very good balance, work-life balance for me. And like we're providing good support and good guidance for people. So you float in and out. And it's, again, like there are times where you just want to shut off from everything else that's happening and work on yourself. And there are other times where you feel a little bit more like, something needs to be done here, or I'm going to have better conversations, or, have the capacity to go speak to someone at a local level, or whatever it is. Do a podcast,
Yeah, it's good. What's maybe you're able to explain this well. So there's obviously a few things with regards to, I guess, superannuation tax benefits. Again, and you would get this every time, I don't have a fucking clue what you're talking about. And maybe this is boring to some people, but also it's quite interesting to a lot of people who don't know what it is. So maybe you can break it down. What are the tax benefits, and are there other ways that we can look at as using that to our advantage?
Well, it's just looking at it as a different vessel for investment or future wealth growth. Okay. And you don't have to have an SMSF to benefit from tax breaks, right? And again, this is just my understanding. It's not financial advice.
Of course. Yep.
But like people can actually, if they have a self-managed super fund, they can buy property. And in Australia, you can actually use your SMSF to borrow money. So it's a separate entity.
Can you?
Yes, you can.
Oh, I did not realise this.
Yes, you can.
Okay, so explain. Sorry.
Well, it's called limited recourse borrowing. But essentially you have the property that is owned via a holding trust.
Yep.
And then you have the SMSF as the applicant. You are a director now, and then it comes down to the serviceability. That will be, what are the regular contributions to your super fund income?
Yes.
As well as like the rent expense.
Yeah.
Okay. And this kind of then, if I jump ahead, this is why your bigger corporations pay minimal tax, because the more, I'm going to say the more, don't go opening up 12 companies.
Yeah.
But there is, it's, they have these different avenues of, it's almost like an umbrella and everything that sits underneath it. So, but they're their own entities, so they don't interact. So in some ways it's not as much about how much you earn, but it's to minimise your tax.
Wow. Okay. And then what role does shifting some of this offshore, overseas, is that something we can do?
So it'd be Australian property. So if you're going to borrow money here, it still needs to be Australian security.
Yeah.
And that's residential, commercial,
Yeah.
whatever that looks like. But I guess in some of the things that we've learnt in the overseas stuff is that, well, people rarely have enough to buy a property outright here in cash.
Yeah.
Okay. Whereas if you've got a good chunk of money in your super, and there may be the opportunity to invest in something that costs 80 grand, 100 grand, 150 grand.
Yeah.
But it's actually the option to not finance it, and then you can actually use your own funds to buy it outright.
Wow.
And in some ways, again, it still needs to work within your circumstances,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, of course.
But in some ways, it's like, is that an avenue where by not paying any interest or not financing that money, are you taking some of the risk out of it? Then you're not banking on, you're getting a bit of a return. And then there's all the tax rates with different countries. Like,
Yeah.
Well,
you look at places like, is it Abu Dhabi?
Dubai, yeah.
Dubai, yeah. I feel I've seen that some of them they're almost enticing people in to be able to, I guess, stimulate their economy. I don't know what they're doing it for.
This is something I'm really intrigued about. Like, we tried to educate ourselves. Like, we watched something on a bloke who went into Paraguay, 2-day process, got tax residency. He doesn't actually have to live there.
Yeah.
In order to, but again, with that comes how you set up your income. So, there's always that element to it.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a big wide world.
Yeah.
Well,
I'll actually talk to you about that after, because I've got something interesting to discuss with you. But so I guess, like, okay, Delby, I asked him, Teddy's coming on, we're going to talk a lot of financial stuff, and he said that he's like, how can I move my shit over to Abu Dhabi, to Dubai? And is that a thing he can do, that as far as you're aware of? Because you have been digging into across a lot of financial
well, I mean, in his circumstances, I guess, because there's residency and there's citizenship.
Yes.
Okay. So if you set up a company there, like, it'd have to show a certain level of income or production value to there. But there's things like visas via property or property investments.
Yeah, okay.
So again, you could buy 1 or 2 bedroom apartment, and then again, there's limits to this, but effectively that gets you your residency there.
Yeah. Wow. So then you're potentially earning a bit of income through the property that you've purchased internationally, and
right. If he's not there, if he's off travelling, then
rent it out. Yeah. And then, wow, okay, cool. Delby,
So-
I think he listens to some of the episodes while he's away. He'll probably listen to this one. There you go, Delby. Set up danieldelby.com in Dubai. Yeah. Interesting.
Oh, it is, and it's and this is, again, like we talk about sort of the different conversations that you can have. We don't always have to sort of follow the crowd, and it's hard to go upstream.
Well, don't
It
you
is
think
hard.
that's because it reflects to people potentially that what they've done isn't necessarily the only option or the best option, and it almost makes them feel like, oh, maybe I'm wrong?
100%. And it's like, if you've got people just like, oh, well, this is the way it's always been, and the amount of times, and I say this respectfully because I don't disregard it, but you can have a really in-depth conversation with someone, and then they've gone and they've spoken to their parents, and they come back, oh, they think I should be doing it this way. And it's like, that's totally fine. It worked for them, but they don't acknowledge, I'm not just talking broadly about that generation, but people don't acknowledge luck in this.
Oh, yeah.
Bad luck and good luck.
Yeah.
Now, there's a lot of blind luck that has led to some significant wealth that people have created. Anyone who tells you that they knew exactly what they were doing in 2020 after the world shut down and that property was going to end up where it is now, that is untruthful.
Yes.
I think.
Yeah.
And then similarly, people who bought in at X time and the market tanked not long after. It's just riding the waves and taking in I feel like take in as much advice as you can and then make your own mind up.
Yeah.
It's like with anything. Like it seems so simple,
Yeah.
but just listen to different perspectives.
Almost
And
like-
even if you feel like that person's talking shit, maybe they'll go, oh, but that one thing that they said,
Well, the
maybe
truth will
I'll
come
dig
out in
into
the
that a
wash,
little bit
won't it?
more.
Like, really, I think that's why shutting down conversation and censorship is never a good thing, because at the end of the day, if you have two opposing views, having a little chat, not yelling, but having a chat about things and discussing it, eventually you'll go, there's probably, maybe it's leaning a bit more to this one, but let's take on some points here, or the other way around. Or if someone's just talking complete shit, eventually you're going to be saying, well, no, that's wrong because of this, And that's why open dialogue and being open and using your own discernment, of which we're destroying our kids' abilities to critically think, and we're destroying our own ability to critically think by shutting down conversations. And that's only going to be exacerbated by this under 16 ban. Like, future generations are going to come in at some point in the next 10 years and be voters as well, and remember this. And that's going to have an impact as well, but potentially not. Maybe they're going to be indoctrinated. Maybe that's the plan.
well, look, look at where the money's sort of gone recently.
Mm-hmm.
The reduction or clearance of the HEX debts,
Yeah,
the 5% homeowners deposit scheme, which I get it. Like, there are people who are going to benefit from that, and that's fantastic.
yes,
Okay, but it's only going to help a small pocket of people.
yeah,
It's not fixing the problem.
no,
Okay, like to say that, we're going to lift the price caps of the first homeowner scheme from 600 in WA to 850. We're going to remove the incomes test. So we're basically just going to bring a whole lot more people to the table to bid on these properties. They're not fixed prices. What's that going to do? Is that going to fix affordability?
yeah.
Like, I don't know. It's so.
But surely an
multi-layered.
economist would know this.
Again, like take economists in June. They all said rate's going to drop.
Yeah,
Didn't drop.
yeah.
Following month. Oh yeah. Bit late on that one. It's like, not to sort of shit can them, but like experts get it wrong all the time, which is why I hate generic advice. If you do this, you're doing it wrong. No,
Yeah.
We've so many times people go, oh yeah, I've got my house, and these people on casual income. Okay, so it's not like they might have been working for a long time.
Yeah.
But we're one little sort of black swan event from them being out of a job.
How dare you bring that term up here?
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
So again, but they're talking about, I want to get an investment property.
Yeah.
Okay, well, in theory, you can get that to work. But do you want to carry $1 million worth of debt? People forget there was a time there was rental vacancies.
Yeah.
As ridiculous as it sounds, then it's like, well, instead of doing that, just, are you potentially better off having paying down that debt as quickly as possible, and then just breathing easier.
That's why it's ironic because we're having a chat and this we considered social media content, but by watching someone's social media content and just making a decision based off that person who's presented probably a really a well-formulated, well-articulated argument to say, you should do this, and this, and I'm presenting these as facts and this is why, I can understand why people go, oh my God, I got to act as well. So that's probably that's a self-interest thing as well. They're trying to be right, but they're potentially wrong as well. And it does seem to be the old adage, do your own research, which you're not allowed to do anymore, apparently.
Yeah. But it's I'm laughing because it's like, I hope no one goes to my socials because it's terrible.
The what? Your social media?
I feel really uncomfortable behind camera.
You're doing well,
But
Teddy.
it's
You've done very well today.
it's it's interesting, but it's amazing what and I think it's a good thing. People are starting to become a lot more educated in the space.
Yeah.
It's so complex. Why there's not a little bit touched on in schools,
Yeah.
again, maybe it's by design. Just sign the dotted line and don't ask questions.
Yeah, become a
instead
rotor.
of going,
Yeah.
no, ask questions. Same as anything, ask questions.
Yeah.
If you're curious, ask questions. Don't
Yeah.
just take it as this is what I should be doing.
Yeah.
You know, again, like, 800,000 and your payments are $4,000. Like, do you know how much interest you'd pay on $800,000 over 30 years?
No.
Probably about 900.
Yeah.
Like, it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Like, it's so crazy. But it's like, well, apply even $100 a month, and the whole thing of compound in reverse, like, and what that does in paying it off quicker. Like, oh man, it's
But these are conversations, I guess, that you're having, and I guess people are curious to have these conversations. But then again, because unless you get the settlement, you don't benefit from it. But that's quite admirable that you'd still do it.
look, and again, people will say otherwise, that you should be doing business a different way, charge a fee, or, you know, you shouldn't be doing that. That's that's a lower cost sort of role or aspect of the job. But yeah, it's funny in thinking back, that's my brand.
Yeah.
It's me.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah,
and
yeah.
it's me and Zoe.
Yep.
Like, and we've done it together, and we talk it through. And you just know it's the amount of times that you'd speak to someone knowing that you can't help, but then just giving them the time, they're going to go tell their friend, their brother, sister, whoever, and just know that you know, we just believe that the outcomes will come if you just, you know, you do the right thing by people.
Yeah. I don't think enough people sort of, I guess, follow their guts, follow their heart, and do what's right for the sake of, well, just for no other reason than it's the right thing to do.
And it's applicable in so many walks of our life, you know.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I see it even with this podcast. There's so many stupid decisions I've made. I don't think they're stupid. I think they're smart, and I think the proof is in the pudding. Every single time I've made the illogical decision but felt right to do, it's paid off. And finally, this is starting to be, well, not fine. It's always been what I wanted it to be, because it's the journey on the way to where it is now has always been what I wanted to do, as well as right now. This is the journey onto wherever the fuck it goes. I don't know, but I'm really enjoying it. And there were so many times where it was so illogical for me to throw away all my other work and all my other income and just jump straight into this. People would go, "You're a fucking idiot. You got a kid. Like, you want to get a house. You want to build a future. You're trying to build a relationship. You know, you got your parents coming in and out. You got your brothers. You got your friends that you're trying to balance, your social life and your own aspirations. And you're just going to chuck all that away and take a risk." But it felt right. And I think when it feels right, you fucking should do it.
it ultimately comes down to, like, you know, people are fearful of the unknown.
Yeah.
And that's almost what triggers people into those passionate defenses.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, why would you do that? Why? Like, they can't see, because, not processed the possibility of what it could be.
Yeah, well, it probably, for a lot of people, triggers their thoughts or as I alluded to before, the sort of, it reflects their own inaction on potentially their own dreams. Maybe a completely different area, like yours is finance, mine is podcasting, someone might be opening up a coffee shop, whatever it ends up being. It probably reflects their own inaction. Not that that's a bad thing. It's very admirable, I think, to work from 7 till 3 and go home and be an incredible mum or dad, or a citizen or a friend or whatever. Or just, I'm quite fine now with that idea. I had to do the full circle. I had to quit my job, get to the point where I don't need that job anymore, and then realise I never had to quit the job to be this happy person in the first place. I'm not going to go back, but realising I didn't need to do that to begin with was quite an empowering thought. That, however, I don't want to be taken as that's your excuse to not have a crack. Still have a go.
Yeah.
Fucking have a leap. But just know you don't have to win. You don't have to achieve what you're doing. Just do it for fun.
Yeah.
That's part of it. So that's something I've learned over my journey, and I think I'm seeing that with you, and I'm seeing that with a lot of people now. They're starting to just take a risk. And if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. It's part of that journey to wherever they're going to be. Yeah. But, mate, you've done well. I know you were a little bit apprehensive about it coming on a podcast and whatnot, but did well, mate.
It's it's good.
Anything-
Enjoyed it. Thank you.
Anything you want to plug? Crafted.
No, I mean, look, we're it seems pretty simple. We do finance and that, but we value the relationships we build with our client base, and we're friends with a lot of them now. So
That's good, man.
it's authentic. We're not pushy. It's just trying to find something that resonates with the person. Explaining education, we're really big on. We want people to sort of walk away from that first transaction going, I know exactly what this means now. I know what I'm getting into. And this is something I'm going to work towards. So
I love it, mate. That's incredible. It was a good episode. I should have planned this a bit better. Looking at the time, I could have put this back a little bit and we could add a couple of brown lemonades after, but
maybe next time.
Maybe next time at the pub. But, mate, very good episode. Might have you back with Delby as well, chucking in a couple of little jester moments. But, mate, very good representation of you and the business as well. So thanks for coming. And, all right, Uru.
Thanks, mate.